There are really only two categories of problems, right? Or are there? Hey everyone, Ed Serber here, founder of edserber.com. What is it that we do at edserber.com, you might ask? Well, we help food and beverage factory professionals, just like yourself, get more out of their operation. More of what, you might ask? Well, everything. Safety, people, HR, productivity, capacity, quality, cost, you name it, and we help make it better. In this video, I will explain two categories of problems, how to recognize them, and why it's important to understand the difference. Let's get started. Okay, so there are two categories of problems. The first category is what we call catastrophic. Catastrophic are those atomic style issues that erupt in your factory or your operation. They typically happen one at a time, they're quite big, and usually everyone knows about them. A couple of examples, one would be a power failure in the entire operation, shutting everything down, maybe a power failure on a line. Another example would be a natural disaster, something that comes through and shuts down the facility. Another catastrophic example might be a massive supply chain issue. Maybe something that is stopping your raw materials from coming in. These are examples of catastrophic, sort of one-time major issues that erupt. The second category is what we call repetitive. Repetitive are those issues that pop up on a quite frequent basis in the plant, in the facility, and they're typically short in duration. Sometimes they can be a machine that is stopping because of a quality defect. Could also be maybe power related, where you have a glitch in power. We call these sometimes short stops, but typically repetitive issues are small in size, but they can happen quite frequently and fairly regularly. Okay, so little disclaimer here, I actually lied to you. There are not two categories, there are actually three categories of problems. And the third category is probably not too surprising, but it's when we have catastrophic and repetitive smashed together. And it actually happens from time to time, and it is quite unfortunate when it happens. But for example, a power failure that could be happening on a fairly repetitive basis. I actually had some experience with this in the past. It's been well over 10 years ago now, maybe 15 years ago, but it was in a facility that had some repetitive power issues that would literally shut the entire facility down. And it turned out that the root cause issue was related to the utility company. And ultimately, we were able to correct the issue. So catastrophic and repetitive, they do happen. They're quite dramatic when they do, and they disrupt the business, as you can expect, quite a bit. Okay, so now you know a bit about the definition of categories of problems, but how can we recognize the difference between them in our operation? The only way to truly know is to measure. Let's jump on the iPad real quick so I can show you what I mean. Okay. So what we see here is a blank iPad screen. And the first thing I want to share with you real quick is in terms of a trend line, if we're actually charting out data, so we might be looking at units produced or some sort of production over time. So that's going to be a typical measurement of what you're going to be looking at in your operation or your factory. So if we scroll down here, the first illustration I want to share with you is a catastrophic illustration. So what you see here is you see that from the left to the right, the orange line is the line representing the connection between the data points, obviously. So you've seen a chart before, but so vertically we have production output, and horizontally we have unit of time. And if you see from going from left to right, and then this blue dash line, let me see if I can highlight it here with a different color. So this blue line here, that would be the target. So in this particular example, that's what this production area is trying to target. And so obviously the items above that target line we would assume as good, and anything below being red. And you can kind of see here, moving from left to right, you have moments in time where you have good production above the target, and then during this moment here, right, you see something happen, some sort of failure, and we lost production. So this is what we call a catastrophic, and this is how it would appear. It's typically going to be in some order of magnitude. And let me use a color you can see here. So this gap between target and actual, this is your catastrophic loss. Okay? So then let's move to the next example, which is repetitive. Okay? So the slight difference here, so again, we still have the target production line that we're looking at here. And this time we see that we have a couple of moments where we went below the target line. Now this is not necessarily catastrophic because, as you can see here, the difference between the target line and, let's just say, roughly here is much less. So the amplitude of loss is a lot less. We still have issues. They're more frequent. Typically see in a repetitive failure that they sort of have, they do fall in a category of, where the actual cycles, the time between the failures is somewhat similar. Not always exactly the same, but that's another way to sort of see that you have a repetitive failure. And again, the third category, which I told you I lied about, there was 3, not 2. This would be an example of catastrophic and repetitive smashed together. So again, we have the target line here, and you notice that in this particular case, we have 2 failures that have happened in somewhat of a, it's until we get more data, we don't know if it's necessarily repetitive in nature forever and ever and ever, but it's happened at least, something has happened at least a couple of times in a short period of time. And so we would consider this a potential repetitive catastrophic issue. And again, the gap here between the target line and the actual production rate is a very large gap. So hopefully that illustrates a little bit to you, clarifies a little bit between catastrophic, repetitive, and a repetitive and catastrophic issue. Hey, if you're getting some value from this video, be sure to like and share it. Also, subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell so that you can get notified when I drop a new video, which I do once a week. All right, let's get back into it. Alrighty then, so we know there are 3 categories of problems, and we should have a better understanding of how to identify them in the process. But why do we care? Why do we need to know the difference between each type? Well, there are 2 very important reasons. The first reason is to prioritize your efforts. Each problem in the operation comes with its own value to the bottom line, meaning when a problem rears its ugly head, there is a lot of money wasted to counteract the effect of that problem. It's human nature to react to problems because we want to get them to go away as soon as possible. By measuring things and being able to see the value of the problems that pop up, we can then prioritize the energy we put into getting rid of those problems. The second reason is gauging, or a gauge for problem solving. When we measure the output of a process and identify where the catastrophic and repetitive issues are, both their size and when they occur, we set ourselves up for effective problem solving. We can't fix what we can't see. In this case, what we cannot quantify. To summarize, there are 3 categories of problems. You need to measure to recognize the type, and it's important to understand what category of problem you have so you can prioritize your efforts and set up a baseline for effective problem solving. If you focus on measuring your processes, then you can see when you have a problem. And when you can clearly see the problems and know their value or negative impact to the business, then you can quickly and smartly go to work on eliminating the right problems. Hey, I hope this helps. And if you got some value out of this video, don't forget to smash that like button, share this video with a friend or colleague, and subscribe to my channel. And click that notification bell so you can get notified when I drop a new video, which I do once a week. Also, please join my free Facebook group where I provide more tips, tools, and tactics and insights on how to help you achieve a world-class operation. Inside that group, we interact and engage with each other on topics such as the one covered in this video. It's a great opportunity to go deeper on any topic inside your operation. I'll put a link to the Facebook group in the notes below. Until then, take care and enjoy your journey towards achieving your world class.